Hey y'all, y'all know it's the 2 minutes of tea portion of Tea Time with Uncle Twirl. Can y'all believe we are back for season 5? Oh my God! Thank you so much for your support, your continued viewership, and all of the wonderful messages. I miss you all dearly anytime we take these breaks to kind of reset, to prep for new seasons. And so thank you so much for coming to another wonderful season of the show. We have so many wonderful guests. For this season, we have a lot of surprises. We have some really cool conversation. And of course, we're going to be playing some games. I know this has been an exceptionally weird time in history for a lot of us with the current administration. And I would just encourage you all, as I'm finding ways to resist and rebel in my own ways, find ways to resist and react and rebel and respond to what is slick and oppressive regime. We cannot allow it to defeat us. We cannot allow it to crush our dreams or discourage us or make us feel like we are powerless. Okay, it's we the people. Okay, and together we are stronger. You are not alone. I definitely will be looking and promoting different things this season, whether that's different rallies or protests or ways that you can support your local communities, ways you can support those that are impacted the most by some of these policies that are being, enacted, because we have got to fight back. We cannot allow our country, our civilization, our places in this great nation to be corrupted by someone who clearly does not hold the same values that we all hold. I try not to get too political on the show, but I think it's time that if you have a platform, if you have a voice, if you have something to say, you should really be using it to just kind of keep people informed and aware and encouraged. So we're going to continue to uplift each other. I love you all so much. This has been 2 Minutes of Tea. Stay tuned for the full episode of Tea Time. And I love you, okay? Rebel. See y'all soon.
It's tea time with Uncle Twirl. Let me go grab my cup.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tea Time with Uncle Twirl, where what's in your mug is your business. I'm your host, Uncle Twirl, and we have a very special guest sipping and spilling with us today. Writer, producer, poet, director. He's penned some of your favorite titles like Devin Beck's Man, Sisters, and his new short film, Newlyweds, Blood at the Altar, is racking up so many awards. Y'all give it up for Lucien Christian. Yes, let me hear you. Thank you so much for being here. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Yes.
I appreciate you for that intro,
you know what I'm saying? We got to give the people their accolades, okay?
Hey,
He's a big deal, guys, okay?
You threw a little pizzazz on it. I appreciate it, for sure.
I try. Okay. So before we get into his business, I figured we'd play a few games, loosen some things up. Okay, the first game we're going to play is called Sip or Spill. Essentially, It's a rapid fire game. I'm going to ask you some this or that. You're going to pick which one you prefer, and if you don't want to pick, you're going to take a sip. Okay? Because we don't force somebody to do nothing. We believe in consent. All right? Okay. Okay, first up, lemon pepper wet or dry?
Wet.
Period.
Wet.
Thank you. Because everything's better wet. Okay? Lamb chops or French toast?
Ooh, that's a tough one. That's a tough
We put you in the hot seat.
One is my morning go-to, and one is my at-night go-to. I'm only going to say lamb chops.
Okay.
Because I can't eat beef anymore. So if I don't have my lamb chops, I can't do steak.
That part.
Yeah, but I can do a little pancakes.
That part.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I was vegetarian for a minute. Okay, a hot minute. And beef was probably the thing I missed the most. Like, I crave it. Steak, burger, I need it all.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to go with lamb chops.
Okay, I respect that. Game of Thrones or Martin?
Game of Thrones or Martin. Martin is more my comfort show.
Period.
It's my comfort show. I don't think I'll be here without, Martin,
Facts.
honestly.
Facts, an icon. Are you watching the new House of Dragons? Are you into that? Or are you old school Game of Thrones?
No, I'm watching House of Dragons.
Do you think it's better than OG Game of Thrones?
I think it started faster.
Facts.
Started out faster.
Yes.
However, this last season it didn't end in the place where I wanted it to end.
Right.
So I'm curious to see what they're gonna do this next season to kind of pick it back up.
Yeah.
But it did come out banging. So
it did.
I'm gonna trust and believe that it's gonna go somewhere this next season.
I really appreciate the pacing, like you mentioned, because I feel like I got on Game of Thrones super late. Like, I think I started watching season 3 because my roommate at the time was watching it. And I was like, what is this? And then I went back to start over, and season 1 was so slow. I said, dear God, I'm not gonna make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 1 and 2, things happen and then start.
Okay.
Then you get locked in. But other than that, it is a really slow
Very,
start.
very.
But it all pays off. And that's the great thing about it.
Yes.
The arcs and the journeys for all those characters is just phenomenal.
Incredible. Although I'm still mad at how Cersei died. We deserted a grander death.
I think, we should have definitely have had that Arya Stark and Cersei.
Thank you. Some Joffrey something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we deserve that.
A loving embrace made me mad. But, it is what it is. Okay. Life of Pi or Rey?
Ooh. That's a tough one, too. Life of Pi. I think I'm going to go Life of Pi.
Okay.
Only because I think I was so inspired by the way they told the story in particular, and that flip at the end.
Facts.
That it made me a better storyteller watching that film, right? Rey, is the performance is just phenomenal. The music, what Jamie did with that role, it's just, it's perfection, right? Like there's no notes in that movie. But Life of Pi changed me as a storyteller.
Facts.
So I'm gonna have to go Life of Pi now.
And I feel like that's the beauty of like real impactful art, because you leave the theater changed.
Exactly.
Like I remember when I saw Origins with Ingenue, incredible film. Like I don't think I had seen a film in quite some time where I said I watched it and I left the theater different. Like the way I think about racism and caste systems, it changed me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so yeah.
So that's the reason why I'm gonna have to go Life of Pi for sure.
Period. J. Cole or Kendrick?
J. Cole or Kendrick? Oh man. Now this is a tough one. This is a tough one because I feel like them two combined make me right.
Incredible artist.
Like those two combined are kind of what like I embody on the page, right? So from a poetic standpoint and storytelling, from that standpoint, it's like Kendrick all day long.
Right.
But also like that heart, right? That heart and that ability to switch your cadence up and hit at some things that are happening at home in that way that J. Cole does.
Right.
It's a whole nother thing. So yeah, I'm gonna have to sip on that one.
Okay, look, and I respect that.
Yeah.
We love you both. Okay.
I think I'm gonna have to sip on that one.
Next up, Langston Hughes or Nikki Giovanni?
Ooh. Oh. Man. See, if you would have thrown some Ossie Davis or August Wilson in the mix, it would have been easier for sure. But with Langston and Nikki, I think I'm gonna have to go Langston.
I mean,
yeah.
Love you, Nikki Giovanni.
Yeah.
Okay. But Langston Hughes is one of one.
Yeah, and it's I'm just trying to think back to the people who inspired my journey in particular, and when I was first reading their words, how it affected me, and that's the reason why I had to give it to Langston. Yeah.
Period. Florida or Jamaica? You're like, why are these so difficult? What are you doing?
This one isn't as difficult, just because I mean, I wouldn't be here without Florida.
Hello.
You know what I mean? I'm a Miami boy, so that is one of those where I'm like, I have to take, well, to be honest, I would take Miami and not Florida.
That part.
But
specifically. Okay, Atlanta, not Georgia.
And I would say I would extend that into South Florida.
Okay,
right?
okay,
I would take South Florida. As opposed to Florida as a whole.
Right.
But, it is what it is.
Right.
We all know, certain states got their own thing going on.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'm gonna take Florida.
Okay, period. FSU or Full Sail University?
I am no-blooded, okay? I am no-blooded. I am a huge college football fan. And although, I love the fact that I was able to go to Full Sail and get my master's, and that program was amazing.
Okay.
I couldn't have got the Full Sail unless I went through Florida State.
And that's on period.
And I've always been a Seminole fan. I bleed garnet and gold. So, yeah.
Period. Okay. Last but not least, Crimson or Cream?
Crimson or Cream? Nah, you are hilarious for that one.
Diabolical.
You are hilarious for that one. Wow.
I mean,
being a noob is like you really can't have one without the other.
mean,
yeah, honestly,
That's what I heard.
So I might have to just sip on that one. I literally, you know.
I respect that. Okay. So the next game we're going to play is called Face Off. Okay. So we're going to be pitting black male-led TV series against each other. So I'm going to read some, and you're going to do this or that, and then we'll keep going to see who's the champion. Which one's your favorite?
All right.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see.
The Cosby Show or Family Matters?
Family Matters.
Family Matters or The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Fresh Prince.
Fresh Prince or A Different World?
Fresh Prince.
Fresh Prince or Martin?
I knew you was gonna do this. I knew you were gonna do this. Martin.
Martin or The Jamie Foxx Show?
Martin.
Martin or Sanford and Son?
Martin.
Martin or The Jeffersons?
Martin.
Martin or In Living Color?
Martin.
Martin or The Steve Harvey Show?
Martin.
Martin or The Wayans Brothers?
Martin.
Martin or Everybody Hates Chris?
Martin.
Martin or My Wife and Kids?
I was on a roll there.
Okay.
I was good until you threw in My Wife and Kids. And, you know, it's so interesting because My Wife and Kids in particular, I go back and watch it as like a master class on like how to tell a good family comedy.
Facts.
Right?
Facts.
And so I think really Martin is always going to be my true love. But if I had to say a show, it's so close. I can't even set the T on this one.
It's
so
tough.
we gonna go Martin.
Martin. Okay, and I respect that. I do think one of my favorite things about My Wife and Kids, and I could see like why that was so difficult. I feel like while Tisha Campbell was incredible on Martin, she really got to shine.
Oh yeah.
And My Wife and Kids, like I think that show made me a real fan of hers.
Yeah, Jade and Gina. Oh yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that whole cast, they knew exactly what to do, and they did it well. And yeah, that's the reason why I say My Wife and Kids is also one of those ones I can just put on any episode,
right?
And I know it's going to be good.
Period.
And that's the great thing about that show.
Facts. Okay, two more. Martin or Malcolm and Eddie?
Martin.
Martin or David Makes Man?
Now, why would you do that? Why would you do that?
I mean, I just, I didn't write these. The people want to know. They asked me to ask you.
All right, well, I'm gonna have to go David Makes Man. I mean, you know, like I wouldn't be here sitting here right now if it wasn't for David Makes Man.
That part.
And, yeah, no, it's an amazing series. So definitely, and it's still on HBO Max.
Yep.
So
make sure y'all check it out. It is incredible. Incredible series. Okay, very good. Look, you breezed through those games. Okay, not too hard. I see that. You ain't sipped too many times.
You know.
I respect that.
And it's funny because I'm usually not that, I'm usually not that guy. I'm usually the one that's just like, oh, it's hard for me to choose. My inner Libra be coming out. So yeah, I get
the scales. You want to make sure it's balanced. I respect that. Yes. Okay, we appreciate your decisiveness. Okay, so now we're going to get into the sip and spill portion, which is the interview segment of our show. So I know we mentioned earlier you grew up in South Florida, Miami Gardens. Okay.
Carol City.
Okay. Can you tell me how your upbringing in the South of Florida shaped your early interest in storytelling and creativity?
Man, so Miami is a unique place, right? A very unique place, and it's full with so many different cultures, and it's a melting pot in a different way than people ever usually expect,
right?
Like ever usually see, right? So that within itself gave me a mixture of cultures and things that I was surrounded by, the people I was surrounded by, right? So you have neighbors that are Haitian, you have neighbors that are Jamaican, you know, your own family is part Bahamian. You know, you have all these different things and flavors. So the pageantry and understanding those things and understanding cultures in that way, dance definitely was one of those things that shaped me as well, right? So, but performance is big in Miami. We're very flashy, but authentically flashy, right?
It comes from a real place.
It comes from a real place. But I was one of those kids. I was one of those kids who was always dancing in the big crowds and going to parades. We have some of the biggest like high school marching bands that feed right into your FAMUs and your Bethunes and things of that nature. So all of those things kind of shaped me in that way to be a performer, right? I wasn't shying away from things. I was the kid that they would pick to do the Michael Jackson impersonation or to be Kirk Franklin in the in the choir led song. So it was those types of things that I think shaped me in that way to not only understand performance and how to move a crowd, but also just how to be authentic in having that energy towards the stage or towards the page.
Right. And I can imagine that authenticity, because you were steeped in it from such an early age, helped impact a lot of how you write, the characters and influences, a lot of that.
Oh, for sure.
Right. Because those are like your cultural roots, essentially,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So were there any particular literary influences? I know you're a poet. I know you do spoken word, that ignited your creative passions. I know earlier you had mentioned August Wilson and some of those, and Langston Hughes. Do you remember like the first piece of literature or spoken word that like really ignited that in you?
Ooh. So I think there's levels to it, honestly. It started very early on with like reading plays in middle school, right? So you get these plays, you're reading August Wilson Vince's for the first time, you're reading, Pearly Victorious or R.C. Davis, and you're reading these things and you're understanding that like the language that they're using, it has a unique cadence, right? And so at the same time, yeah, you're going back and in your theater history and you're studying people like Shakespeare, and people talk about, how he wrote in prose and all these things that he was able to do. But then you see yourself in what August Wilson is doing, right? You see your community in what August Wilson is doing. And they're tapping into and talking about subjects that you relate to, or that when you get older, you will be able to relate to in some way, in shape and form. So I think for me, it came in waves. And then in terms of poetry, like there was poetry in that writing. However, there was a point in time where, I don't know if you remember this show, it was called Brave New Voices.
No.
Okay, so there was this show, it was like a docu-series essentially on HBO called Brave New Voices. And I watched Brave New Voices and was blown away by these poets, right? Like these are like your Jasmine Mans. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, and like Alicia Harris and B. Young, all these people. And at that point in time, I didn't necessarily know the power of words, right? I understood the beauty in words, but I didn't understand the power in words. And so at this time, these things are now becoming that creative lexicon that I would go to in order to make sure that I wasn't just creating something to create it and to just perform it, but I was doing something to make sure that I impacted people with that writing.
That's real. I remember seeing Fences for the first time, and the character Troy, I was like, that's my dad. And he was so many of my black male friends' fathers. Like so many of us had experiences with men like Troy. And to your point, it is something deeply impactful about seeing yourself in work. Learning, different literary structures or how to build a poem or et cetera is one thing, but actually embodying a piece of work that captivates your audience because they can see themselves in it, that's a different skill.
It's a whole nother ball game. It's a whole nother ball game. And then I also say Def Poetry Jam. I was one of those kids that was like into it with Def Poetry Jam, and seeing people get on stage and taking what I knew as just songs and really like taking the music away. Now raw on this stage, and we're just looking at the words themselves and breaking those things down. So some of those performances changed my life too, in terms of what could be done, right?
Facts. I love that. Okay. Let's talk mentorship, because I think it's important. None of us get to any place by ourselves. I think, there are a lot of people out there like, I'm self-made and I got this out the mud, but you weren't in the mud by yourself. There are a lot of people along the way that have helped usher you to the level of success that you are now. And so can you think of any like early mentors or creatives that poured into you and helped shape your trajectory?
Right off the top, my middle school theater teacher, Mrs. Tanisha Seidel. Amazing. Yes. Shout out to her. She is still doing amazing things with the arts community down in South Florida. And she actually ended up helping me get my first gig in this industry, which is a full circle moment, right? But she locked in on me as a middle school student, and she honed all of the creative energy that I had and made sure that it was like, okay, cool, we're going to use this, right? You're not going to just waste it. You're going to use this in a creative way, and we're going to find a way to start fine tuning that, right? She is who pushed me to then go to high school, where I had another teacher who did the same thing and took it to the next level in Andrea Kidd, right? So Miss Kidd, I came from Miss Seidel, then went to Miss Kidd, and then Miss Kidd, who had graduated from Florida State's BFA program, told me about Florida State. And then I went to Florida State and had another teacher who did the same thing in Gene Lixon.
Right.
So it was like, throughout my life, there were always these women who really honed in and said, hey, I see you have a gift here. I don't want it to go to waste, but I want to turn potential into productivity, right? Like, I want to make something of it. I don't want it to go to waste. And so I just I locked in with them because they were super talented as well. And they showed me what it could be. And thus, that's why I'm here.
Incredible. Shout out to teachers. First of all, pay the teachers more. That's the first thing. Second, shout out to Black women. Okay, seeing potential, continue to pour into Black men in multitudes. Thank you for that. Because it's important, right? I think it's something special when someone sees you and sees your potential and sees that you really have a gift and they pour into that.
Yeah, too.
Like kids need that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you definitely have to. And that's one of the things that I do now too, is just making sure that I always leave space to be an educator, right? Because what's the point if you're not making sure the next generation can understand and get to even higher levels than when you were able to achieve, right? And if they didn't do that for me, I wouldn't be here right now. So I have to pay my dues, right? And make sure that this next generation gets what they can from me.
Okay, y'all heard it here first. Make sure y'all reaching back, okay? Keep those doors open, okay? Okay, so let's talk areas of expertise. How would you describe the heartbeat of Lucien Christian Project? You know, what through lines tie your work together?
I would say there's usually a rhythm in it, right? There's some type of poetry in anything that I do. I would also say that aside from that, there's often a bit of growth in everything that I do, right? And when I say there's a bit of growth in everything that I do, I mean the thing I put out now, you'll be able to look at the thing I put out before and see where I've attained new skills,
right? The evolution,
or I'm coming at it from a different POV, right? I also think one of the things for me is I try to ask questions in my work, right? I don't try to come at things with answers. I try to come at things with questions, because I think oftentimes when you do self-reflection and you ask the hard questions about whatever is going on in your life at that moment, that's where you find growth.
Facts.
Right. And so if my characters can experience like that moment of the in-between, that moment where life offers you the question and you have to find the answer, then my audience 9 times out of 10 will relate to that in some way and be able to then relate that to answers that they've been looking for. Right. So
well, don't have me run around the studio. Don't start preaching. You're gonna have me get up and start shouting. You know, Oprah calls those aha moments, and I think it's something very interesting. You know, life coaches will do this. They will ask you powerful questions to elicit powerful responses. Because essentially, it's like, you know, I can't answer every single question for you, but I can give you a vehicle to find the answer for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think that's powerful work.
Yeah. And it's that community conversation that happens out of a good piece, right? Like if something opens up conversation to the masses, then I think that artwork is living beyond the moment.
Facts.
And that's what I strive to do in all my pieces, to create something that's going to live beyond the moment in some way, shape, or form, whether that is through the theme or through, like I said, through the questions that are asked in the piece.
No, agreed. I remember when Moonlight came out, and I took several different groups of friends to see it. I went with some of my gay friends. I went with some of my straight homeboys. I went with some of my homegirls. And then eventually I went with my mom. And it was just very interesting seeing how that work impacted them differently, kind of broadened, I think, their perspectives, not only of people in varying communities, but also of like their participation in some of the systems that oppress those people,
Yeah.
but also how they may have certain biases they didn't even know about,
Yeah.
or they don't really, you know, sometimes it's hard to understand or put yourself in the shoes of other people. But I think the beautiful thing about like art and TV series, movies, they are powerful tools that can kind of open people's minds, because you don't always go into it with a bias. You're just going to see a movie and then you can leave it, like I was saying, changed.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah.
I think that's, I think that's a real deal. That's why I love going to museums. I
Mhm.
love going to different places for that reason,
Mhm.
because I'm going to look at a piece of art
Mhm.
and I'm going to get something out of it.
Right.
And who's to tell me that that thing that I get out of it is right or wrong, right? It's subjective in that way, but I'm going to get something.
Mhm.
And I think that's the purpose of art a lot of times, to make sure that somebody gets something.
Facts. I'm not telling you how to like
Yeah.
interpret the art. I want you to leave here with something.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right. I love that. Let's talk leadership. So, how do you lead a writer's room? You know, set
Ooh.
environments can be different. Everyone has varying personalities and styles and different ways that they work. So, how are you helping collaborators bring their full selves to a project?
Yeah. Allowing them to feel seen, right? I try to surround myself with the best, right? And I tell people that all the time. If I ask you to work on this with me, it's because I see something in you. And truth be told, I try to find people who have mastered their craft in the way that I've mastered mine. So if you're just that passionate about your craft as I am about mine, we're not going to have many issues, right? Like there might be a situation where we're trying to figure the thing out, but I always defer to what's best for the project is what's best for the project, right? I'm going to come in with ideas.
Right.
Clearly, as a leader, you have to come in with ideas to try to get the train going.
That part.
But I've learned from other great leaders that it's not no, but it's a yes and. So I try to employ that as much as possible.
Right.
A yes and, or if I see somebody that's coming with a better idea than what I had originally, I'm like, okay, cool. Let's see how we can figure this thing out to work together to achieve what we all want to achieve. And so I think that's the way I kind of look at things. It's very collaborative when I'm working with other people, because I think that's how you get the best product.
Facts. Like we were saying earlier, no one does anything alone.
Exactly.
Okay, and so having a strong team, but also like empowering them to feel like what they have to say is valuable, it just like creates the like project that you really want, like with the best outcomes.
Yep.
I love that. Okay, so how are you intentionally centering Black voices and stories and characters in your work?
Yeah.
Because I know that's something you bring with you, you know, from your cultural background, but also just your own lived experiences. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. I always say like the best artists are usually talking about the community, right, that they come from, how it has affected the community that they've come from, and things of that nature. And to me, it's a no-brainer for me, right? Like I'm telling stories that my people can relate to by means of things that I've been through. And I can't tell anybody else's story in the way that I can tell my own. I can't tell stories about other communities in the way that I can tell about my own. And my own community still has so many stories that have not been told yet. So I lean into that. I lean into the fact that we have beautiful stories over here. Why am I going to search to try to find something from somebody else when there's somebody else out there to write that story, right? We don't need that.
Facts.
Right? So I'm not going to, I try to tell myself, just be yourself and write what you know, write what's affecting you. And 9 times out of 10, that's going to look like me.
Hello.
Right?
That part.
So I lean into it from that aspect, right? I'm a person that, like I said, I grew up in Miami, which is a very culturally diverse place. And we have people of all different races, all different genders, all different everything that you can imagine. And I love, like where I'm from, I love getting to know all these different people, and they help inform those stories. But at the center of that story are people that look like me.
Facts.
Because I'm at the center of my story, right? So
I love that. I was watching Viola Davis. She was doing, I think she was accepting her Oscar, and she was talking about like the kind of work that she's interested in are stories from her communities, because we have so many. She said, exhume those bodies. She said there are so many people, living and even in the grave, like their stories haven't been told.
Yep.
She was like, and we have got to do a better job of like telling the everyday story of people that look like you, because there are so many, like you were saying to your point. And I love that. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Newlyweds, Blood at the Altar.
Okay.
So guys, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's thrilling, it's exciting. Everyone knows that I'm a huge horror fan. I love a good scary movie, but I have an irrational fear of zombies. So when I saw it, okay, I went into it blind. I didn't know what to expect.
Oh, that's great.
And at first I was like, okay, let's see. Black
great.
people, beautiful, they getting married, okay. And then, things start to go a little left.
Uh-huh.
Somebody start transforming. I'm like, y'all don't see this? Y'all don't see this? Like something's going. And then, everything ensues. So kind of tell me, you were the EP on it. You co-wrote, co-directed it. And this was a Kickstarter funded project. Can you tell me a little bit like how the crowdfunding process shaped the creative journey or logistics when you were choosing to film this?
Oh, yes. So we can dive deeper into that one. We did this during a strike. So we had the writer's strike going on. SAG was on strike as well. And so we literally had just come off of a studio project, and now it's radio silence so amongst the industry. And it was one of those things where originally, I'll go back and say that originally I had the idea. I was sitting down at a wedding and I was just like, yeah, like the idea of love conquers all, right? That's a thing we've always heard. But I'm like, well, would it be able to survive a zombie apocalypse? Right?
Is love enough?
Like, is love enough to survive? Like, let's put it to the extreme test, right? And so being from South Florida, it's also that question of, well, if there was a zombie outbreak to happen anywhere in America and you took a vote right now, most people would say what happened in Florida.
Yeah, bath
right?
salts.
Everybody remember the bath salt situation, right? So it was that element of the thing that just started to make me say, okay, that's an idea there. But then, sitting down with my writing partner, Bird, me and him were just like, yo, like, okay, cool. But this seems like it has a deeper meaning here, right? Because when you get married, there is that aspect of no longer just you and that person, but you had to go against your family in a way, right? And then after you've dealt with your family and friends and you get married, then you have to deal with the world. Right? And so we embodied that with these characters because it's really one of those things where we wanted to show like a Black couple that is literally going through those different phases, right? And so all these things that we threw at them represented that in a way. So that was at the core of what we were coming up with, and then we built it out from there. But then, like I said, we had the strike. We had the strike going on. The script was nice and tight at that point in time. We had gotten Terrell to look at it. Terrell was just like, he gave us notes, and he was like, "No, it's good to go." And so we were like, we're not going to just sit on this. And we had to prove it to ourselves. This was something that we put money out of our own pockets to help make happen, right? And then that, like you said, Kickstarter aspect of it. So Kickstarter helped get some money towards the project, but it didn't fund the whole thing, right? So now it's that question of asking yourselves, like, are you willing to put your own money where your mouth is?
How much do you believe in this?
How much do you believe in
it?
Right? And so that was the beautiful thing about this project. We featured our community, and our community came out and stood up. Like, you've seen it.
Yes.
All the way from young to old.
Facts.
It was a big cast of people and everything else like that. And that was the beauty in it, right? Seeing the community come together. So it was one of those things where, yes, we had to cut some of our darlings. Like, if you read the actual script versus what we were able to film, you'd be like, oh, there's some differences here. And I'm like, yeah, there had to be, right? We had to get creative, but our team worked around it, right? We worked around it, and we found a way to still keep what was essential there. And that was that story. Because I always tell people, like, horror films, if you don't got a story that people can latch on to, then it don't matter, right? It does not matter how many jump scares you have in there if there's no story that people are taking away from it. So I think that was a really important thing for us. And the great thing about it is no matter what money was on the table, we were going to make sure that the story was good.
Yes, and it is very clear. It is very exciting. And to your point, a lot of people, I know some of you are not fans of the horror genre for a variety of reasons, but I always tell people like horror has some of the best stories because you have to make it make sense. It has to have something for people to latch onto, like you were saying, outside of the jump scares. And that is probably my favorite part of the horror genre, like trying to figure out, okay, so what's the motivation? What is happening? What is the source? How are y'all gonna get through this? Is there a larger meaning? And so, yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, and then there's that drama aspect there of the bait and switch because you see, right? I don't want to give too much because I do want people to watch in the future, but you see where these people that they had to go up against were against them being together in some way, shape, or form. So that aspect of, you know, killing those things off.
Yeah. I love how you highlighted, like, sometimes you are your own worst enemy.
Exactly.
And if you really want to survive, if you want to push it, you want to make it, sometimes you have to sit that aside. Okay? Because sometimes it was almost like, you know, letting your ego die. So that you can put other things.
Exactly. Realize what's important.
That part.
Realize what's important.
True.
And realize that it's not about everybody else. Don't allow everybody else to dictate how you live. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was brilliant. We loved it. Okay. So I know you said you had co-directed this with Richard Bird Wilson. How did you divide like your artistic vision and responsibilities? What did you learn from that partnership, or what have you learned? Because I know you guys have worked together for quite some time.
Yeah, we've been, so me and Bird have been working together since 2008.
Wow.
And here we are now, 2025.
Right.
So we've grown up in this industry together, and I always laugh and say we got 2 degrees at the price of one. And he always tells people, because I'm a professor now, and he always tells people that he was my first student.
I love that.
Because of the fact that literally while I was in grad school, I was like, okay, we're doing this assignment, you do this assignment too, right? And I tell him all the time that you can't teach creativity. You can teach formatting, but you can't teach creativity. And so we started off on the spoken word poetry team together and grew from there. And we understood the language in which each other write, right? And we're very different in ways. Like I would say he's more earth and I'm more air, right? But we complement each other, right? Like sometimes I'll get way out there with my concepts and ideas and he'd be like, all right, let's ground it. You know what I mean? And sometimes he'll be here and I'm like, hey, you can lift that a little bit. Imagine a little bit.
It complements each other.
Exactly. So it complements each other. And so we know each other's strengths and weaknesses very well. And so that's the thing about it. It's like when you're working with somebody that you align on the vision with, it's perfectly fine because at the end of the day, both of you know, like we said before, what's best for the story is what's going to win, right? And we don't bring ego into it. And that's the great thing about also working with somebody who's essentially family, right? You don't bring ego into it, and it allowed us to work and divide and conquer in that way. But literally whatever is needed, if something needs to be attacked over here, whoever is the best person to attack that thing based on our experience or based on, you know, like I said, our strengths and weaknesses, that's who's going to handle the thing.
We're going to play to our strengths.
Exactly. We play to our strengths, and we pour into each other in that way. So it's no ego.
Yeah. And I feel like that's very apparent because what you all have been able to accomplish in your partnership is incredible. You know what I mean? Yeah. We're stronger together. Okay, guys? Listen.
Yeah. Take your friends with you if you can, because it is a lonely, lonely industry otherwise.
Talk about it.
I tell people that all the time. People literally will stop me sometimes and be like, oh man, it must be so amazing to have a writing partner. And I'm like, yes, because otherwise sitting at that computer by yourself, trying to brainstorm and bounce things off of a wall, it doesn't help you get where you need to get.
Right. Support systems matter, guys. All right. Being a loner is only so cool. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about personal growth. So over the last few years, writing on Sisters, producing, building 89 Writers, what are you most proud of in terms of your evolution?
Ooh. I would say I'm most proud of the fact that I can see the evolution, right? I never want to be stagnant. I never want to stop and become someone who's just doing the thing to do the thing. I always believe that I got into this because I was passionate about it. And whenever I do decide to stop doing it, right, I want to, like, a hint to myself would be that I've lost the passion in it. And this industry, it is hard.
Right.
It is hard. I could talk for hours about how hard the industry is, but to keep the art first and to keep your passion on display in everything that you do, and like I said, to be able to see where you've applied things to get better in your work is something that I'm most proud of in doing it. Is because I was able to genuinely stay who I am and develop the voice, right, that I've had since I was young, and I haven't gotten a chance. I haven't strayed away from that. So seeing the evolution in your work is probably one of the things I'm most proud of.
And that's incredible because a lot of people do lose themselves in the journey, right? It's not a destination, it's a journey.
It's a journey.
And a lot of people can get lost along the way. Do you think you've gotten to a point where you can because some people, they're just in it, right? You're working, you're hustling, you're grinding. You rarely get chances to stop, take a step back and look at what you have accomplished, looked at everything that you've been able to do. Are you at a point where you think you've taken some time to step back and be like, look at what I've done?
There are moments when it happens, and sometimes it still surprises me. There was a moment sometime this summer when I sat back and realized, hey, you have written, produced over 88 episodes of television.
Period.
88.
Crazy.
And that was mind blowing to me to sit there and realize that, right? I think that within itself sometimes just lets you know that, like, if you have a dream from the beginning and you are ordained to do a certain thing,
Amen,
you have to go towards it. Because no matter what pitfalls you go into, when you see that you were able to accomplish something that people will go in their entire lifetime trying to get to, right? And you were able to do that within an early section of your life, you know you were meant to be here.
Right.
Yeah.
Facts.
So I think that's been one of the things for me too,
Facts.
that's just kind of clicked in more and more as I really check in and be like, hey, like, you still working so hard, but I just want you to stop and realize where you've gotten to. Because sometimes, some days you ask me and I'm like, oh, I haven't done enough yet.
Right. Or that imposter syndrome can sneak in and it's like, well, I haven't gotten to so-and-so.
Exactly.
Or it doesn't look like this, or it's not there.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. Incredible. Okay, let's take a moment. How do you decompress? Because I can assume it's a lot doing what you do. So do you have any special mantras or, things that you like to do to get yourself in a creative space or get yourself out of a creative space? Like, are you reading playlists? Do you have spiritual practices? Are you going on walks?
The playlist is a must. No matter what project I'm writing, I always have a playlist for it.
Okay.
It just helps me stay in the world in which I'm trying to create for the characters or the storylines of that nature. So the playlist is a must. I like working out a lot. So I'm in the gym at least 2 or 3 times a week. I love working out because it just gives me a chance to break away from the computer. I also I love reading, right? So I will go and pick up random plays. Sometimes I'll actually go back and read the actual written text for some of our favorite movies and TV shows, because you take it in differently. But those are some of the things that I do in terms of when I'm trying to stay in it. But then sometimes it's one of those things, I got to get out of it.
Facts.
So I'm a big sports person.
Okay.
I love me some sports. Like I'm probably about to have about at least 6 fantasy football teams going on at the same time.
Who's your favorite team?
I'm a Broncos fan.
Okay.
I'm a Broncos fan, but now that I'm making that move here to Atlanta, I'm gonna adopt the Falcons.
We appreciate it.
And see, see what that feels like. You know?
Look, hang in there.
Hey, trust me, I understand. I understand it'd be some crazy years, in between, but no, it's one of those things where community, right? Like I think people underestimate the community within sports teams and like what can build from there. Like I know some people who've gotten their best friends from like tailgates, right?
No, facts.
So things of that nature. I love going to live shows.
Mhm.
Like I'll be at a concert like that. Museums, like I
Mhm.
mentioned
Mhm.
before, and then also traveling.
Facts.
I love traveling.
Facts. Top 3 destinations you've been while you were traveling.
Ooh, top 3 places.
Mhm.
Rome,
Mm.
for sure. Rome was amazing. Paris.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say Rome. I'm gonna say Paris, and then let's see, somewhere in the Caribbean. Um, I'm gonna say, oh, that's the top 3. I'm gonna say Jamaica.
Okay, period. Look, I
Yeah,
was waiting for it. I was like, I'm not
yeah,
gonna push
yeah.
it, but I was like, I don't hear.
hmm
Yeah. Okay.
I still need to do Africa though, so yeah, I'm Africa might take no top 3
might
spots.
might not roam off the list.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked a lot about the way that art can impact you and change you and create new and wonderful ideas within your own identities. Can you tell me what one of the most powerful reactions or messages you received from a viewer of
Mm-hmm.
your own work has been?
Yeah, yeah. There have been people who have talked about being at being in very difficult points in their life, and watching some of the things that we've created has kind of pushed them towards the positive, right? And that, for me, and I won't get too heavy into it just because I don't want to get too dark.
Right.
But there have been people in really dark spaces
Mhm.
who have needed to see some of
Mhm.
these characters rise out of
Facts.
dark spaces, and they relate to those things in whatever way,
Mhm.
So we've talked about heavy topics on some of these shows, from David Makes Man and on Sisters, right?
Right.
Some very heavy topics. Even the current season that's airing of Sisters, season 9, and we're talking
Mhm.
about the mortality rate within Black women pregnancies
Yep.
and things of that nature. And there's so much that we're
Mhm.
hitting on with this work, and I'm happy to say that we're hitting on things that matter.
Facts.
But I think those are the deep messages that have moved me the most, right? Are the people who have been in similar situations that
Mhm.
we've shown and have risen out of it because they've been inspired by something they see.
Facts. Like your work helped me literally through a rough period. Thank you for seeing me.
Thank you for
You know
seeing
what I
me.
mean?
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. Let's talk a little bit about Black joy. We just talked about some heavy stuff. Black joy. How do you define and center Black joy in your own life and in your creative output?
Oh, so it's so funny because I don't think you can necessarily describe Black joy with words. It's a feeling to me, right? Like Black joy is a feeling, and a lot of times it comes in the waves of something. Sometimes it's nostalgia, right? So sometimes I'll just think back to moments within my life that I know are relatable to others, right? From just our culture and the way we grew up. And I'm like, hey, we all share this love and this joy for this thing. It's
Right.
like it's like when people think about Thanksgiving, right?
Yep.
And they're like, hey, everybody know whether you love it or you hate it. You got a mac and cheese story.
Hello.
You know what I mean?
Do. I had mine recently.
You got a potato
Yes.
salad story,
You
right?
do.
Right. But those are unique to us and to
Facts.
our culture and to our upbringing.
Mhm.
And so I try to look at those things specifically, right? Like, what are some of the things that we experience, right? Like, there's a Instagram page that I follow, Growing Up Black, right? But also there's a joy in sometimes where we get in life because we know people before us have paved the way for us to get to these spaces,
Talk about it.
even if they haven't gotten there themselves. And so there's a joy in that. And sometimes I try to center what those celebrations look like for people who achieve those things.
No, it's incredible. I love how you said it is a feeling. It's hard to like describe just in like words. I was talking to one of my non-melanated friends about Black joy, and I was like, Black joy. I was like, have you ever been to a concert? I said, and you're there, pick your favorite Black artist, you're there, and they start doing songs or they start doing throwbacks, and all the Black people start singing together. It's just like a community, that feeling, that joy. I said, that is Black joy.
That is Black joy.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I say it is something you can only really experience if you're like immersed in the culture. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and
I love
sometimes
that.
walking into certain spaces and seeing There, like
Yes.
I've been in meetings, general meetings with people who are executives at different places, and they hop on the screen, and we like
Just like,
it's like the Spider-Man meme
yes.
where you're
It's
pointing
like,
at each
me?
other. You know what I mean? And
Facts.
there's joy there
Yeah.
because it's just nice to see representation of people who have followed their dreams and that are being, you know, rewarded for following their dreams by being in these positions of power.
And like you said earlier, because we also know what it took to get there.
Exactly.
We know it's not easy.
We know it's not easy.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about industry challenges. We touched on that very briefly.
Okay.
So what are some of the roadblocks you've encountered, whether that was like funding or access or stereotypes? How do you navigate those spaces? Because I know a lot of creatives coming up that want to be in the positions that you're in or are inspired by your work, your journey so far. They want to know how you navigate a lot of that because they know it's inevitable, right? Yeah.
There's always creative solutions. That's what I've learned. I didn't always know that, but I've learned that there are always creative solutions, right? For instance, funding was one of those things that I was always like, well, I don't have the money for this, I don't have the money for that, so how am I going to create this?
Right.
9 times out of 10 throughout everybody's day, they're on what? A phone, right? Phones now have cameras that are shooting in 4K, right?
Right.
There's no excuse anymore.
Hello.
There's no excuse to create something. You might not be able to create that studio level film that you want, but there's no excuse to not create something, right? Writing is free.
Hello.
Like it don't take money to write, right? Now it might take you having to work 3 jobs and then starting to find the area and time of the day that you're going to be able to write so you can keep a roof over your head and food in your mouth.
Right.
But writing itself does not cost you money.
Right.
So I had to just find creative solutions to everything that's coming up against me, right? So, hey, okay, cool. Like I wrote this thing that nobody, you know, from Hollywood necessarily wants to do something with. All right, well, I can do something, right? You can get creative. You can figure out a way to put that thing on the stage, right? You can, and even if I'm not talking about necessarily going to book out a theater, I'm saying on the street corner.
No, facts.
Right? There are people, and I didn't know this until I traveled more, until I started getting in tune with the art world as a whole, rather than just my bubble, right? That there are creative ways to do everything, right? And so you have to just continuously think outside the box, and I think that's been the thing for me. Like once I realized that, I kept the power for myself rather than giving somebody else the power over me in my creative like output by their yes or no.
Because it is your IP.
It's your IP.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing about it. Like don't give anybody else the power of whether or not your art will succeed with their yes or no, because really and truly it's about, are you going to do it or are you not going to do it? And that's ultimately what it boils down to.
That's a word. Once again, you about to have me start running. Once again, because I'm a firm believer if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
And that was proven. You're not in like so many people's journeys, but with the Newlyweds, like you said earlier, the community showed up.
Showed up and showed out.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people want to see what you are working on. Don't like let people make you think that your stuff is not valuable. Hey, your stuff is valuable. You do have an audience. There are people that are waiting for you. So yeah, build it and they will come. I love it. That's a word. I love that. Okay. So you've written and produced across many platforms.
Yep.
How does it feel working on brand content compared to episodic or feature storytelling?
Ooh, they're very different, but I will say you have to just keep yourself at the center, right? Like we talked about, developing your creative voice. Know that if somebody is hiring you, no matter which one it is, branded versus episodic versus narrative, is because they see that your unique voice is what they want to highlight in it, right? They want to bring your sauce to their chicken. You know what I'm saying? So I think I lean into the voice no matter what, but it is very different just in terms of formatting, understanding your mediums. And I think that's the main thing, right? Like we talked about earlier, you can't teach anybody creativity, but you can teach formatting. So I would challenge everybody out there to say, if you know that you're a good storyteller, no matter what, just learn formatting.
Right. The technique.
Learn what is needed specifically for that thing, but you'll be able to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Period. Okay. Y'all, Lucien has to go. I know, I don't hear, he's very busy. Okay, he's booked and busy. He has lots of things to do. Okay, so before you get out of here, I would love if you could share any, upcoming or future projects. I know we talked about the Newlyweds. What are you working on next? Do you have any stories in development that you can share? Perhaps features, television, spoken word pieces, anything. The people, we're thirsty. Help us.
So I will say, I'm gonna say this.
Okay.
We're gonna get back to the stage. Me and Bird are working on a 2-man show.
Okay, incredible.
And it's going to incorporate a lot of our experiences in the screenwriting world. So I'm excited about that.
Okay.
Also working on, I can't get too much. I can't get too much because, NDAs be involved.
That part.
A lot of projects. But there's a cast member from Sisters, and I'm working on a current project with.
Incredible.
Outside of Sisters. So we're developing things, Then there's also a really big producer that I'm currently working on a comedy show with.
And we need more comedies. Stuff is too serious. Help us.
Oh, yeah.
We want to laugh.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. And also, I've been venturing into thinking about writing a book. So that's going to be an interesting one. But this is what I'll say. In particular, I'll make sure, as I can give more information, I give you the scoop on it first.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. You heard it. You heard it here. Okay. Breaking news. We
I
will
will give you the scoop on it first, as I can. Definitely talk about it, but definitely you'll be hearing some things sooner rather than later.
Well, we are very excited. We wish you all the success in your journey. I think sometimes you don't even know you're inspiring other people just by going through your journey, going through the motions, and you are definitely an inspiration. I know to so many people, including me, just kind of seeing you work and do your stuff. We try to do a really good job of researching all of the subjects before they come on, and your journey has been really, really incredible.
Thank you.
So yeah, I hope you receive all those flowers.
Thank you.
All right, guys, he's got to go. If people want to reach out to you, if they have more questions, if they're just interested in talking to you about their own stuff, where can the people reach you?
You can find me on Instagram at 89 Writers, number 8, number 9 Writers, and also at Lucien Christian. I'm pretty sure y'all probably gonna put a little thing.
And we are.
Okay, so at Lucien Christian as well on Instagram and Twitter. You can find me there.
Period. And y'all don't be asking nothing crazy. Make sure you keep it cute and respectful in the comments. All right.
My Twitter already be blowing up with Sisters fans, so I understand it.
All right. Y'all will be blocked. Okay. You can find me on all socials at Uncle Twirl. That's Twirl with an E. Once again, this is Lucien Christian. Thank you so much for being here. And remember, like I always tell y'all, feel free to spill the tea, but don't be messy. All right, y'all. Until next time. Bye.